Again, beautiful souls. It's me, Amanda. Once again, the reluctant messenger with Anamkara messages from the soul friend. Um, a huge resistance around this one, because I'm aware those that are ready to hear this message, they're going to run with it. They'll work with it, and they really need this right now. Those that are not ready, well, this might just trigger the crap out of you. Um, And this is where my reluctance comes in because I'm aware that lately, by standing in my authenticity, it's triggering the crap out of a lot of people. And that's bringing up my old childhood wounds, of unworthiness, not being loved, being rejected, youth abuse, and so on. And, you know, Spirit has been nudging me to talk and do a reading around relationships for quite a while now. I just really haven't wanted to do it. Again, my crap, I don't feel worthy. But we're all worthy. And that's something I have to get over. And if this triggers you, don't see it as a bad thing. Being triggered is actually a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for healing, for going deep within, for, you know, looking at these old wounds that we carry, these infected wounds that we carry. Because when it comes to relationships, whether they be romantic, family, work relationships, relations with animals, like just all sorts of relationships, our old programming, our old wounds, it all plays a huge factor. And, authenticity, communication, like it's all vital, but yet it doesn't seem to exist in the world anymore. Now, it's come to my attention a lot, particularly in the dating scene. A lot of people now use dating websites. They want to meet the one. They're so caught up now in, needing a partner because, we've all been conditioned to believe that you can't be happy unless you have a partner. And I'm here to let you know that that is not true. Happiness comes from within. Happiness is something we are each responsible for, our own happiness. And like if we're trying to put the key to our happiness in the pocket of other people, that's why we haven't been happy so far. The key to your happiness lies within. And a partner is meant to enhance that happiness, not to create it or provide it. But we've become a society where we want this instant gratification. There's people going on dating sites, and before they've even met the person they've been communicating with, they're already planning weddings and children and imagining what life would be like. It's like it takes time to get to know someone. And I get it. I understand there is loneliness in people. There's that desperate need for connection. People think they're looking for love. Well, you see, love is already all around us. We're constantly in the flow of love if we're willing to just pay attention, notice it, and see it. What we're missing, what we're seeking, is connection. We all wish to be seen, to be heard, to be understood, to be accepted and loved for who we are in our entirety, light and dark, because we are all both. There's a universal law of, is it polarity? Do you know, where there's one, there is the other, and it's all within. And it's only when we really start to love ourselves, we get sick of hearing people, oh, if you don't love yourself, you can't let anybody else love you. But there's a truth in that. You have to love yourself first. You have to show yourself the respect that you desire. For if you don't, if you're feeling unloved, if you're feeling disrespected, you have to remember we're living in a energetic universe. Everything is vibration and energy. I spoke before about the law of attraction, and Spirit told me to get the magnets out again today. And again, it's not about like I know so many people who are doing the work for years, consider themselves light workers. And, so many of them are angry and enraged at the moment. And, if you mention anything, it's like, I know that. I'm already doing it. I am positive. I'm very positive. And it's kind of like, ooh, okay. You might be using positive words and affirmations. But if your frequency isn't positive, if it isn't loving, if it isn't matching and in alignment with what you wish to call to you, law of attraction can't bring what you desire. Law of attraction, without fail, answers your frequency. So if you're emitting loneliness, unworthiness, that sense of, why can't I meet a partner? Why is everybody I meet, a bad person? All men are the same, all women are the same, they're all this, they're all that. If you're vibrating in those frequencies, that is why law of attraction brings it to you without fail every time. And that is why you may have said, or your friends you hear regularly, why do I keep attracting the same kind of person? And I'm noticing there's so many people, and they're bouncing from relationship to relationship, different faces, but the same energy, because they're not learning their lessons. Some are, but the majority, they're not learning, and they're getting lost in the victimhood. And again, law of attraction. If we look at these magnets, if I try to put that together this way, in the reverse, it's repelling. It's pushing against itself. Now, if I release this, it flips and it matches when it aligns. But when it's in this opposite position, it's pushing away. It's repelling. If I bring it down, it'll connect. But if I try to put it that way, it's pushing against it. That's how energetics work. That's how the universe works. And I implore you, please look up the laws, the universal laws, because they are fixed. And when we can start to understand them, and I'm not claiming to understand them, I'm not claiming to have mastered any of this, but I do know, I feel it. I feel the truth of it resonating with every cell and fiber in my being. It's really important. And when we learn to understand these universal laws, when we learn to work within the parameters of the universal laws, our life starts to improve. When we understand that everything is all about attraction, and that's probably the law of attraction is probably the most well known of the universal laws. And again, lots of people try to practice it, but there's also lots of people misunderstanding it. And they think that if they create vision boards and say positive affirmations all the time, that, everything manifests. But if you don't align with the emotion, if you don't feel the joy, the pleasure, the good sensations of already having what it is you desire, if you're feeling the loss of those things, the lack of those things, or like it's never going to happen for me, that's the frequency you are sending out. And law of attraction, without fail, brings you your wish is my command, says the universe. So, do you wish to change? Do you want to make improvements? Are you willing to do what needs to be done? Because not everybody is. Some people are more comfortable in their victim role. Not because they enjoy it, they're miserable, but it's familiar. And you see, that's the thing. So many people, they fear change. They fear the unfamiliar. They would rather have the uncomfortable than the unknown. Because, like, what if it goes wrong? I'm here to ask yourself, what if it was to go right? What if everything was to work out for you? Because, everything is always working out for us. If we can just learn to understand ourselves, if we can learn to tune in, because the most important relationship of all is our relationship with self. I really didn't think I was beginning to wonder if this deck needed to go back. I didn't think they were going to talk. And I'm not even going to look at what it is. I'm just going to let them fall, let them go, and we'll have a look and have a read as we get in. Now, as I was saying, the relationship with yourself, That's primary, the most important thing. You have to learn to love yourself. You have to learn to respect yourself. And there's this big thing of, oh, I'm on my own, I'm single, I'm alone, and I'm lonely, and that there's something wrong with this. There is not. Being alone, solitude is actually a wonderful, wonderful gift. And, personally speaking, the loneliest times in my life were actually when I was married and when I was at home living with family. They were the loneliest aspects of my life. When there was people around me, when there was a body in the bed beside me. Because there is nothing as lonely as being in company and feeling unseen, unappreciated, unworthy. That's loneliness. Being alone, solitude, that's not lonely. That's freedom. That's peace. That's tranquility. That's space to breathe. Solitude, alone time, that's such a gift. And it's a beautiful place to be. It's where you get to do what pleases you. It's where you get to consider yourself. It's where you get to offer all that love that you have to give and that you want to give to others. Solitude is an opportunity for you to give that love to yourself. I've spoken here before about doing mirror work, looking in the mirror, not for the person that you see every day that you've always looked at through your whole life, not that person that you criticize, that you look for flaws, you look for wrinkles, or you shame, blame, criticize yourself. Don't look for that man or woman. I want you to look in the mirror and look for the person your loved ones see. Look yourself in the eye with the same love and compassion that you look at your friends and loved ones with. Look for your soul, because it's always there, always with you. Everything you seek lies within. You don't need people like me, but people like me are here. We're being urged, we're being pushed out of our comfort zones. We're being asked to stand up, be vulnerable, be seen in our authenticity, to share our stories. Why? Because it's to light the way for others so they can navigate their way out of the darkness. And again, old Irish Celtic traditions. We used to have bards. They were revered in our ancient culture. And the bards were storytellers, musicians. They'd go from kingdom to kingdom, clan to clan, and people opened their doors to them. They welcomed them in. They fed them, they gave them lodgings, and it was such a treat to host a bard. And again, they would come and they would share stories, tales. They would bring news of other people, other villages. Sorry, those cards landed face up so I can see the message. So I just love the synchronicity and the way spirit works and talks. So the bards. So again, story. In Irish and Celtic culture, story. It was valued. It is so important. And yet nowadays in society, it's keep your own business. What goes on indoors stays indoors. Don't tell anybody. Don't share your story. Don't, keep it all secret, locked in. And, that's actually part of the toxicity that's developed. Because I'm discovering that, there's freedom, there's liberty in sharing your story. And for my own personal journey, I was very lost, spent most of my life depressed, very traumatized from, a childhood of sexual abuse, and then going on and being raped in my late teens, and, marrying an abusive partner, out of the frying pan into the fire, being unsupported. I got so lost in all of that. And eventually I started to, find the spiritual path, and those things, they really interested me. And, There was certain weekends I'd do kind of weekend long workshops, and I remember a lot of the time it was the sharing. It was sitting in circle with others, and some people would be irritated by the sharing, be like, "Oh, hurry up! I want to go. It's time to go." But for me personally, it was the sharing. It was in hearing other people's stories, people sharing their experience of why they'd come on that particular weekend. And again, at the end of the weekend, people sharing what they've gained and learned in the process over the weekend in their attempt to heal themselves and, become more self aware and heal old wounds. And, it was other people's stories. That was when I had the light bulb moments. I spent a lot of workshops and training in frustration because I don't understand, and I'd be angry, and I was comparing myself to other people. There was other people gaining all of this beautiful spiritual wisdom, and they were getting it in like high definition technicolor detail, and from my perspective it sounded like, that these spiritual beings were appearing before them and, giving them all this help and advice. And I'd be getting really frustrated and angry because nothing ever happened for me. All I ever had was darkness, and I didn't understand. I was claircognizant. I was just knowing the information was coming. Sometimes I'm clairaudient. I will hear things. But again, I was dismissing that as I'm a bit loopy, you know, and who am I to think that? Oh my God. And it's it's in hindsight, I noticed at the time I would have those light bulb moments of, oh my God, somebody was sharing something and, stuff I didn't understand. All that frustration and confusion I was experiencing in trying to heal myself and get my own answers. I couldn't make sense of it, and then somebody would share something and all of a sudden it made sense. So again, story. It used to be sacred in Celtic culture, and it's still sacred today. We've just lost the wisdom of that. We've lost some of that wisdom, but that wisdom is returning. There are more and more people starting to become more aware. There are people that have done no spiritual work, no holistic training. And this pandemic situation, this being forced to be isolated, having distraction taken away, has caused a lot of people to, have some healing crises. When people are struggling and then they feel like it's mental health and there's something wrong with them. And I'm here to tell you there's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are overwhelmed. You have been in survival mode for so long that you've forgotten what feeling good feels like. And I count myself in this as well. This has been my life. I equated the feeling of relief with feeling good. It's only in recent years, it's only in the last 2 years that I've actually understood what feeling good actually feels like. It's only now that I'm starting to understand what love feels like. And it's been hard earned. But I'm here to let you know that this wisdom is available to all of us because this wisdom lies within. You are infinite beings in a human body. Our souls are eternal. Yes, our bodies, we decay, we transition, but our souls are eternal and we come again and again. And we have to learn the lessons again and again. And you see, how quickly we learn the lessons determines how quickly we can evolve and get past it, and how quickly our life can improve. Because if we get caught up in the why did they treat me this way? Why don't they listen to me? Why all I do for them? And we get so caught in the victim mentality that again, that's what we're feeling. That's the frequency we're emitting. So we keep calling more experiences of the same frequency to us. And this applies in all relationships. But in particular, I'm speaking about romantic relationships because that seems to be most prevalent in people's minds these days. And I've been speaking to a lot of people. I get a lot of calls from people, just looking to have a chat and looking for my insight or my input or see what comes to me. And, you know, there is a recurring theme. You know, in this sense of loneliness. It's not loneliness, it's disconnection. It's disconnection from self. We have become a species who are just so desperate to feel love and have that connection that we're jumping ahead as soon as we meet somebody good looking or ticking the boxes like good job, or, you know, we're looking for love in all the wrong places. We're prioritizing all the wrong things. And it takes time to get to know somebody. You know, there's certain groups I've seen, and sometimes it's like you're only going on a first date and already you're preempting what married life would be like with this person. You don't know this person. Doesn't matter how many texts you've exchanged. Doesn't matter even phone calls. I've been dating myself. Sometimes you have a great connection over the phone, only to meet in person and just the energy just isn't there. You know, there's been a couple of amazing connections for me to meet and just feel like this is my son that I'm meeting. Do you know, it's not a compatible romantic frequency. And you know, a lot of people go, you know, they have a problem with me. I've been single for over 18 years now. A lot of the time I haven't even bothered dating. And I don't want to date. And I thought, you know, people giving out to me. And I actually thought maybe there's something wrong with me. But you know what? There's not. I've just learned discernment. And yeah, it's not often that it happens. But sometimes you will meet another soul and you actually feel yourself rise. You feel your energy lift. There's no desperation. Oh, there's somebody. Oh, he's hot. I like him. But there's just that you feel it. It's like a magnetic attraction, but it feels good. It uplifts you. But you see, for a lot of us, we've been conditioned to ignore our gut feelings. We've had so many years, our entire lives, of other people telling us, no, stop that. That's just nerves. You know, do this. Look at it this way. And again, we've been conditioned to let the analytical mind override the instinctual gut feelings. And now people often associate that kind of your stomach dropping, that ick sensation with, woo, this is something wonderful. No, when something feels off, it is. Trust your warning system. When a connection is right for you, you feel uplifted. There's no in the lower senses. It's an uplifting thing. That lower stuff in the lower chakras, that funny feeling in your stomach, that's not, oh, love butterflies. Love is up here. Love is in the heart. True compatible connections uplift us. Don't weigh us down, and they don't set off this, you know, anxious, nervous energy. And again, it doesn't trigger the need to start calling all of our friends and family. What do you think? What do you think? Oh my God. Because do you know what? When something is right, there is no doubt, there is no hesitation. And think about that for a moment. There'll be many situations in your life, big or small, something would happen, and you would just know it's right for you, and you act on it without thinking, without having to call everybody and ask their advice, because you know it's right for you. You trust yourself, because when something is right, it feels right, and you know there's no hesitation. But you see, when there's doubt, when there's hesitation, when there's that, something doesn't feel right, when we feel the need to run around and start calling everybody or going on social media, what do you think? What do you think? If you're feeling doubt, that's your inner self, that is your soul guiding you and warning you to be careful. Because when something is right for you, there is no doubt. You just know, you feel it. And you see, if we could just drop all the pretenses, if we could drop trying to be the perfect partner, if we could drop this, like some of the profiles online, do you know, most of them, there's no ring of authenticity to them. They're all about trying to portray an image of what people feel members of the opposite sex or same sex, like what you're trying to attract. You know, this is not about gender. This is just about people. This is about souls connecting. And most of the profiles, you can feel it. They're not authentic. It's all about trying to portray an image of what you think you need to do in order to attract a partner. That's not being authentic. And you see, when you do that, when you're not being 100% true to yourself, you keep attracting people that are not compatible for you. They're not compatible with you because you're putting out frequencies and vibrations that do not truly represent who you are. And if you really want a successful relationship, if you want a healthy relationship, you have to find the courage to take off the masks, to pull away the armor. And I get it. That's intimidating. That's frightening. I've been in tears in these videos already because I'm somebody that wore 60 feet of armor for most of my life. I prided myself on not feeling. I could watch ET and not shed a tear because I was that strong and locked in and nothing can get to me. I've had to take all that off to become the woman I am today. Do I regret that? Not at all. But you know, there are moments where I feel incredibly vulnerable. And this is one of them. But again, Spirit is asking me to come and speak to people about authenticity, about honest communication. And I can't do that unless I sit in my authenticity, in my rawness, my vulnerability, in my truth. So here I am, answering the call because it's necessary. I spent an awful lot of my life struggling, nearly going under, living in a very dark place, thinking the world would be better off without me. And what I've learned from all of my traumatic experiences is that have put me in a wonderful position of looking people in the eye and being able to say, I hear you. And they know I do. They know I understand. They know I've been there. And that is part of my path, is to demonstrate, light the way, and show others that you can come back from the depths of hell. You can come back from the deepest oceans of emotion. You know, so many of us have been lost in these emotional storms and hurricanes. And they get, you know, these wounds get perpetuated throughout our lives. And you may have heard talk about the divine feminine energy, which is the card that flew out from my sacred geometry deck. And again, the divine feminine, the sacred feminine energy. And I've mentioned this before, this isn't about going against, you know, the churches, the new patriarchal, and going back to the old ways where it was more matriarchal. It's a time of balance. It's about bringing the balance between the masculine and feminine. But the feminine energy is coming in really powerfully lately. And again, the feminine energy, it's the yin energy. It's the within energy. It's the soul energy. The masculine or the yang energy, that's the external. That's the doing, the action energy, the external stuff. So again, the divine feminine. And again, this is genderless. Our souls do not have genders. Our souls are perfect balance of masculine and feminine energy. We take physical gender bodies in order to procreate. That's the only reason why we have male and female bodies, is so that new souls can come in, so that we can procreate. But the feminine energy, it's within us all, whether you're a man or a woman. And it's very important that we balance our internal energies. And the message with this, the frequency of the divine feminine supports our soft, receptive, and nurturing side, facilitating our intuition and intrinsic understanding of our connection to the cosmos. And again, look at that beautiful image. breathe that in, that sacred geometry. And look, I'm not a mathematician. I'm not claiming to understand geometry. But for me, a little over a year ago, some of the first channelings that came to me, it was all of these weird shapes and symbols that I didn't understand. And through synchronicity, eventually I discovered that it was Archimedes of Syracuse, and the symbols I'd been shown were the Archimedean solids. And again, it was a Spanish student I'd had years ago that sent me a link because I was explaining some of these weird things I've been seeing during meditations. And he went, Amanda, that sounds like sacred geometry. I studied that in university. Let me send you some links. And he did. And I'd been explaining to him that it felt like these symbols and shapes, it's like they were a language, but not a spoken language, more of a language that you feel. And when I opened the link, one of the first words in the link were universal resonance. And I'm not joking you, as I read those words, my body convulsed. It was like, and something just shot through me. It actually really frightened me at the time. But then I had this sense, I could hear Archangel Michael. You were safe, you were loved, you were taken care of. This was downloading information. And look, I thought it was nuts. I thought it was crazy. But quietly, I started sharing some of these experiences with friends. And I've discovered that I'm able to help a lot of people to gain clarity and insight. But it's important that I have to be honest and open in my own authenticity. I've had to get in touch with my own divine feminine because I've been living in my masculine energy all my life, in that armored, nothing can hurt me, I'm all right, my own, I don't need anyone. I've had to learn to embrace my sacred feminine energy. I have learned to trust my intuition because, it's always been there. I've just spent a lifetime ignoring it, dismissing it, but in hindsight, and all of you have this, every one of us have it. If you look back over your life when things have gone wrong, I'm willing to bet most of you have said at some point or another, oh my God, I knew that before it happened, kind of felt it, should have listened to myself. But you see, we've been conditioned and trained not to listen to ourselves, not to listen to our gut. We've been conditioned to use the analytical mind instead. And we need the balance. I'm not saying throw away your mind, we need to have the balance of everything. And again, I've already mentioned that, the balance of masculine and feminine. It's the balance of heart and mind and soul. It's about bringing balance of everything together. Now I'm going to go into the meaning with this card. So bear with me. So the affirmation with this, I am divine feminine. And again, that applies to you, whether you are man or woman. For humans to live harmoniously with each other, the masculine and the feminine must reach a state of union outwardly, in relationship with each other, as well as inwardly, in a balanced state of heart, mind, body, and soul. Sorry, I still get a bit giddy when validation comes. I know what I'm doing. I know I can do this. But I have a lifetime of unworthiness and self-doubt. So I get a little bit emotional and I get this, I can feel spirit just flowing through me right now and giving me such an uplifting sensation. So please bear with me. I can pinch myself off sometimes while I'm trying to process, and I end up interrupting the flow of the chat. But anyway, so in the new energy, we let go of traditional roles, allowing new masculinity and new femininity to arise. The concept of the divine feminine is no longer exclusively for women, just as divine masculine is no longer just for men. We all hold both masculine and feminine energy attributes within us, and both must be fully realized, understood, and expressed. The feminine is fluid and receptive. Her nature is to surrender and to open up. She is intrinsically connected to Mother Earth and to giving birth. She is soft, flowing, gentle, sensitive, nurturing, and empathic. She easily connects to the higher realms and the universe at large. She is in touch with the world of subtle energies, and she is highly intuitive. She is also strong, powerful, and independent, yet open to co creation and partnership. And again, I can feel it. You know who you are, being triggered by the word surrender. This whole kind of feminine movement, those words, her nature is to surrender and open up. Surrender doesn't mean submit and allow anybody else to dominate you. Surrender means when you are hit, and again, I can only translate the messages coming through my own vocabulary and my own life experience. So again, I used to be in the masculine, in the yang energy. I was the armored warrior, nothing. I was braced against everything. And what my tuning into my feminine side has taught me is to surrender to the universe. It's not surrendering to other people. It's surrendering to the flow. Because when I brace myself against emotion, when something feels painful and overwhelming, I still have that autopilot tendency to go and brace against it. But you see, what happens then is the energy comes and it can't move, so it's hammering and it's beating off us. And that feels even worse. And what I've learned to do, and again, within that message, the words surrender and flow, the feminine energy is soft. That doesn't mean weak. In fact, I've never been stronger than I am now since I have connected back to my feminine energy, my sacred femininity. And now, when those emotions hit me, although my initial reaction sometimes is still to go embrace, Spirit just reminds me, just allow, surrender and allow. Now I let it flow. And I don't know if I mentioned this in a video already, but something springing to mind. I'm getting a really strong memory of I had to attend a funeral last summer of my mother's cousin. And, because of the pandemic, my mother is on full-time oxygen. So, obviously it was too risky. She wasn't going to go. So I went to represent her. Now, I normally avoid funerals. I will only go to immediate family. And that's because I'm empathic. I get very overwhelmed at them because it's not just my own emotion. I feel everybody else's. And I often got really embarrassed because I would get so overcome and upset at funerals where it's like, I didn't even really know that person. And I didn't understand at the time. So I would avoid them. So it was a bit of a challenge for me to have to go to this funeral now and represent my mother. But it was actually a beautiful experience. And again, obviously, we weren't allowed in. There was minimum numbers. We had to be outside and that. And I was there with my aunt and some of the other cousins, who were there to pay their respects to their cousin. And I could feel the wave of emotion hit me. And before I even braced, which was beautiful, Spirit was already with me. I just felt that uplifting rush. I felt that sense of calm and peace. And I was just told to surrender, soften. So instead of locking my knees, bracing myself and going into my usual rigid warrior stance, I softened my knees. Now, my insecurities and my, give me the word, Spirit. Self-consciousness. I hate being noticed. I always want to be the invisible one, which, when you're a ginger, it's actually very hard to just disappear into the background and not be noticed. You tend to stick out like a sore thumb. But I was wearing flowy, kind of like a divided skirt that day. So I remember softening my knees and I flowed, because if I'm meditating, I often will actually flow. That's what I'm being told to do, is to allow myself to flow. And I've discovered that when I do this, movement really helps energy to flow. And at the funeral, as my aunt and her cousins started to get overwhelmed, I could feel it hit. But Spirit said, soften, go with the flow. So I did. And you know what happened? Although I was aware of what they were feeling, I didn't get overwhelmed with it. And I just moved ever so softly. And because it was windy, I don't think anybody even noticed I was doing it. But in being surrendering, to what I was feeling, what I was picking up, and flowing with it, it passed right through me. And in allowing it to pass through, and in focusing and consciously breathing and trusting. And again, I've spoken about conscious breathing before. The power of your breath is so important. It's like you're breathing in your own divinity, your sacred life force energy. And exhaling any heavy, denser frequencies that no longer serve you, that don't feel good. And in your breath, in that life force energy, there lies your power. And I really understand. I got that. I understood it. I fully grasped that concept at that funeral that day. And then I could hear my mom's cousin laughing. He was quite the character. And it was just such a beautiful experience. And like, he started doing a little running commentary of the entire thing. And as the cousins were chatting and talking with each other, and I never told any of them this, because again, this is all still so new to me, and who am I to be saying things like that? But I could hear him with his smart comments, and he was literally validating things they were saying and stories they were sharing. And it was just such a beautiful experience. And again, a valuable lesson of the strength of the feminine energy, the strength and power within surrender. It's not surrendering and giving your power to another one to hold over you. Surrender means surrendering to the flow of the universe, surrendering to the flow of emotions, because again, emotions are associated with the water element. Water is a very powerful element, and even in the tarot cards, they're divided up into the different suits. And the cups is all about water and emotions. If you think about water, water always finds a way. Water always flows. If water meets a challenge, like a boulder, if there's a rock, water will flow around. Water will flow over. In fact, water will wear its way through rock over time. Like, it's a very, very powerful energy. And we need to tune into that aspect of ourselves. And think about it, even biologically, bodies are made up mostly of water. Look into Dr. Emoto's work. Water holds energy. Water is very powerful with memory and holding frequencies. Very interesting. Have a look at it. But again, we are emotional beings. We are sentient beings. And our senses, what do our senses do? We pick up, we perceive. This is all about energetics. It's not about words. Our spoken languages are not our primary source of communication. What we feel is. People will use words, and again, it's back to relationships and dating. We need to start paying attention to what we feel. Don't just go by what new potential partners say. Actions speak louder than words. But you know what? People's energy speaks very loudly if you're willing to listen. And we all have this ability. Trust your gut. Because when something is right for you, there is no doubt, there is no hesitation. You trust yourself. You trust your inner being. You don't need to go running to others looking for answers and guidance. Now, the divine feminine and relationship. Although we carry qualities of both the masculine and the feminine inside of us, In most relationships, there is one person who predominantly embodies the feminine attributes and one the masculine. The harmony between the two might depend upon one's individual understanding of this inner dual nature, as well as the outer roles that each person plays in the relationship. The feminine side is soft, nurturing, and compassionate, and she is closely connected to the higher realms and to the world of subtle energies and intuition. She offers deep understanding, patience, and tolerance to facilitate closeness. The receptive and flowing feminine often needs to be directed and focused masculine. Sorry, the receptive and flowing feminine often needs the directed and focused masculine to get anything done. While the feminine excels at imagining and dreaming of all possibilities, she needs the masculine to help her manifest these dreams. And again, this is the harmony of that duality. And we need that balance and harmony within, as well as within our external relationships. And then, food for thought. Ask yourself, are you in touch with your feminine side? How does it express itself? How do you feel about things that are considered masculine? Do you feel that the divine feminine can be all of it? Can you think of some examples or role models in the public eye who embody a new and balanced divine feminine? Now, we also got this beautiful card, number 15. And again, 1 and 5 rounds down to 6. 6 in tarot would be the lover's energy. This card, the message, eternal union, new love is forming. And again, look at the imagery within this card. Look at all of this vibrational energy. If we were to truly understand ourselves and our vibrational frequencies, we will be so much choosier about who we get physically intimate with. This is a beautiful energy, intimacy, and sexual intimacy. It's beautiful, but sadly, it's not understood. And a lot of people, they're mistaking the purely physical act of sex with love. It is not. But when our bodies come into union with another like that, there is an energetic exchange and there is an energetic cost. It is very important to be in harmony with our partners. And again, think about your senses. Sometimes you know, meet somebody, you think they're incredibly good looking and, you know, they're ticking all the right boxes and you like how you engaged on the phone, but you go meet them and perhaps, you know, you get close to them, but something isn't right. Maybe their personal scent isn't compatible. And again, this is pheromones, this is biology. But again, it's about energy, it's about our receptors, it's about receiving that information. And you know, there's other people who may not be what you would class as physically good looking from a photograph, but yet when you meet them, oh my God, they just have that X factor. And again, that can be your sense of smell, that can be other factors, energetic factors. And again, law of attraction. We are pulled towards these things. So, you know, we live in a society that actually prioritizes looks when, you know, yeah, look at you don't want to wake up first thing in the morning and scream in horror at the face on the pillow beside you. I get it. But we have to stop prioritizing and dismissing people because they're not, you know, up to society standards of beautiful people. Because you know what? A lot of people, and again, this is just in my experience, I'm not saying everybody, there are a lot of stunningly physically beautiful people who have wonderful personalities as well. In my experience, it's actually kind of been the opposite. I've met these, you know, really stunningly socially beautiful, physically people. But you know that their personality, they've been so conceited and unpleasant that I don't find them attractive at all. And yet there are other people who would be considered, in societal terms as ugly. No, they're not. It's when you meet them, their soul shines through. Their light. And again, this is why we need to stop judging on photos. A photo is just that one or two dimensional, I don't know what way the proper terminology, but a photo, it's just blank. You meet somebody, their soul shines through. It comes in the eyes, it comes in the smile. And somebody who in a photograph may not seem like your type, you meet them in person, you can be blown away by that man or woman, because who they are, who they truly are inside, that shines through, it radiates out, and you feel the resonance of them. And that only comes from coming face to face with somebody, spending time with somebody, getting to know somebody. Because getting to know somebody takes time. We need to stop this thing of, I've just met somebody, it's wonderful, and rushing off into the future. The future doesn't exist yet. And the past is gone. We have to stop bringing our crap from the past with us. And look, I'm not judging. I'm guilty. I dragged the pain and trauma of my past around with me like several balls and chains for years, for most of my life. It's only recently I've learned, let that go, free myself. Can't change any of that past. Dragging it around with me and complaining about it all the time, that's not helping me. But letting it go, it's like a weight off my mind. And again, take things one day at a time. When you meet somebody new, don't pick it apart. You meet somebody and it feels wonderful and everything's good. Don't pick it apart with what ifs and maybes. Just take it one moment, one day at a time. Now trust your gut. If your gut starts saying something's off, trust it. But if everything feels wonderful, go with the flow. Enjoy it. Milk that wonderful feeling for all it's worth. Share good feeling stories, because we've become a society that we're so focused on all the negatives and all the ick, and that's all we share. And the more we talk about it and share about it, and everybody's like, misery loves company, oh yeah, me too, nah. And we're all tuning back into those frequencies, those feelings, that ick stuff that we really don't like and we want to free ourselves of. We have to stop that. And we're each responsible for that. We have to take accountability for our own actions and behaviours. And look, it's not snap your fingers and you transform and you change it. It takes practice. But it is actually quite simple. But you have to be willing to do it. You have to be willing to put in the practice. And the more you practice it, the quicker you can flip it and turn it around. And the quicker you can start developing authentic, honest connections. Because when we are authentic selves, when we communicate honestly, instead of trying to say things we think other people want to hear. And even when you are being authentic in your communication, not everybody will hear you. Because society has become so fake that most people now hear something that they go, okay, they said this, but they really mean this. I mean, how sad is that? We need to just be authentic. Speak your own truth. And you're not responsible for how other people perceive your truth. But if you can just flow, if you can have faith in the universe, in the divine, if you can have faith in yourself, in your own divine, because again, each of us is an expression of the divine. Each of us has that flow, that divine light, that spark within each of us, our soul. It is all part of the one, the collective oneness. If we can have a little bit more faith and trust, like being our authentic selves, standing in our truth, stop being afraid of the judgment of others. And I get it. I've been so resistant to doing this particular reading, to have this conversation, to channel these messages. But you know what? I have to face that fear. I have to dig deep and find my courage, because I know there are people out there that need to hear this. I know there are people out there that are ready to free themselves from the pain of the past and are ready to have an authentic relationship. And you see, the problem is, most of us, we want that unconditional love, but we're not willing to offer it. It's like, I love you unconditionally as long as you behave in this way, this way, and this way, and please me and make me happy. But you see, that's not unconditional love. That's conditional love. And when we let go of all of this stuff, when we surrender, when we have faith, when we start being authentic, we start attracting more compatible frequencies to us. And then we start recognizing what quality connections feel like. And not every quality connection is meant to go down the romantic route. We need to stop getting fixated on that. It's like, if we don't have the romantic partner, we have nothing. Yes, we do. We have so much love. Every compatible relationship in your life is something wonderful, is something magical, it's something to appreciate. And you see, the more we appreciate the wonderful connections and relationships in our lives, the more, again, we're back to the magnets, law of attraction, the more of that frequency we're putting out. Appreciate all of these wonderful connections, all of these compatible people that are crossing my path now. And you see, what does that do? That brings more and more people of a compatible vibration into your orbit. And in time, you will meet the appropriate, the right romantic partner for you. You just need to have patience. And you see, our souls are patient. It's our human aspect that we're very impatient. We want it and we want it now. But I promise you, if you dive deep, if you learn to love yourself, if you learn to break the old habits, the old conditioning, if you start practice, if you make that effort, if you honor yourself and promise yourself to free yourself, and you practice this, you practice feeling good, you practice looking for things to appreciate in life, eventually, in time, then you'll have the lover in your bed. But first, you have to learn to love yourself. First, you have to see all the love that is around you already. Now, eternal union. New love is forming. In a lifetime, we are destined to meet many members of our soul group and soul family. Many of them enter through life as a soulmate, fated to teach us lessons about unconditional love and ourselves. Because again, everything is a mirror. Everything, all the good things we see is a reflection of the good within us. And all the things we don't like, it's a reflection of stuff that we don't like within us too. And that's what partners do for us. They go to the deepest levels of reflecting things back to us and teaching us lessons about ourselves. A soulmate can be a friend, a family member, work colleague, partner, neighbour, or someone you strongly disagree with, clashing with every time you're around each other. Because again, sometimes soulmates come to trigger the crap out of us and give us that opportunity to heal and free ourselves from the past. When a soulmate enters your life, they offer your soul support, guidance, and growth, whether physically, emotionally, or spiritually. You may feel you have known them forever, or you may be instantaneously uncomfortable in their presence, dependent upon what your soul needs. A soulmate may be a brief encounter, or this relationship could last a lifetime. Acting as a catalyst for growth, these souls are here to teach you something new. Currently, meeting new people will bring great conversations. Interesting people will enter your life now to teach you something valuable about yourself and your interests or passions in life. Social gatherings and casual meetups will create opportunities for meaningful connections. Right now, you are being encouraged to actively listen to others. For those who you despise or see as enemies, view these people as possible soul connections. They are there to teach you life lessons and challenge your structured belief systems. This new understanding will deepen the love you have for others, including new and existing partnerships, opening doors for an expression of eternal union. This living expression of love will influence romantic connections, including marriage with long-term commitments possible now. The expression of eternal union between two souls will bring new levels of love on an emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual connection. True love is limitless. And then the affirmation with this is, I am living, I am a living and loving expression of the eternal union. I am blessed. And you are. Each of us is that perfect balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, as above, so below, yin and yang. And again, we have the symbol of the yin and yang, and there's a little dot of black in the white side, and there's a little dot of white in the black side, symbolizing that there's a little bit of each in the other, and the tail of them flow into each other. And again, this is how we have the flow. And it's back into rhythms and cycles. There's so much within that symbol and many other symbols. And it's all about balance, harmony, and unity. But we have to come into balance and harmony within ourselves, the masculine and feminine within ourselves, first and foremost, in order to have balance and harmony externally. Now, before we move on to the next card, they're showing me stuff. They want me to speak about painful relationships. Recently there's been quite a number of people who are going through really hard times. They've been deceived by partners, and it's very challenging and it's very difficult. And what often feels worse then is that we think when somebody hurts us like that, we're meant to hate them. But do you know what? That feels awful. That's not the way to do it. And again, this is where surrender comes in again. Surrender to the fact that you love this person. And yes, it hurts if that person doesn't understand or know how to reciprocate that love. It's not because there's anything wrong with you. It's because their own journey, their own life experience has warped their sense of what love is. People are not evil. They might behave in terrible ways and wound others, but it's not intentional. And often some of the extra pain that we feel, it comes from, friends or family, trying to get us to hate these people and go down that negative road. But you know what? It's okay to still love someone that's hurt you. Doesn't mean you're opening the door and saying, come back in, kick me again, kick me while I'm down. But love is love, and love is never wrong. You can still love somebody unconditionally, truly love them, and never see them again. You don't have to allow them into your space ever again, but you can still love them. And you see, the key to getting past and getting through the breakups is to let go of the painful memories. Treasure the good ones. And I know that's challenging, especially when you're in the rawness of a breakup, of a painful experience. But again, this is where the power of your breath, your own divinity comes in. You can empower yourself. It's like allow yourself, feel the emotion. Like, don't brace yourself against it. Just allow it to hit, because you can have faith. You've already overcome every challenge you faced. You will overcome this. Allow the feelings, allow that emotion to hit you, allow it to wash through you, but do it consciously through your breath. As it's hitting you, breathe consciously. Breathe in your divine light essence, your divine life force energy. You breathe that in. And when you breathe out, you let go of all of that pain. And sometimes when you're doing this conscious breathing, the exhale will come out as a sob. Sometimes you'll be, that's okay. Do not judge yourself. Do not criticize yourself. We have to stop shaming the act of crying. Crying is so wonderfully healing. And I don't want to go down the conspiracy theory route or get into all of that, but there is a reason why crying has been changed and why this thing has been perpetuated about big girls don't cry, big boys don't cry. Come on, suck it up, man up, numb out, stop feeling. Because our feelings are actually our superpower. We do need to tune in to how we feel. We have to allow ourselves to feel. And I promise you, the most overwhelming of emotional hurricanes, the deepest oceans, I've been in the depths of despair. But they do pass if you remember to breathe. And if you remember to tune into who you truly are, into your soul energy, into your spark of divinity. Because do you know what? There is no trauma, there is no pain that can ever, ever extinguish that light within, that love in your heart is there all around you. You don't have to. You're telling me now to share something. Last weekend, I went through something incredibly painful. Not everybody will get this, but for me, moving to a new area in lockdown, obviously, I'm over an hour more from anybody I know. So animals have been a bit of a lifeline for me. And recently I encountered two pregnant mares for a couple of weeks before they gave birth. And then I had the privilege of being able to meet newborn foals and interact with them. And it's been, one of them would have been 3 weeks old last night actually, and the other was 3 weeks on Friday. But on Sunday, they had to go with their moms because, again, it's the mares are in season and it's time for them to visit the stallion. So they're gone for however long it takes. And I was devastated. I couldn't believe how attached I'd gotten to these beautiful creatures in such a short space of time. And I knew they were going, and Saturday I was just so emotional about it. um and again, it's like, what is wrong with me? And again, there's nothing wrong with me. And what Spirit started to explain to me, with animals, like, there was one day where I went across, cut through the fields to go visit them. And the mares, they began to trust me so much that they allowed their foals to interact with me. And there was a day then where little foal kind of just right beside me lay down for a nap. And it was a beautiful sunny day. So I sat down beside her, and the mom kind of looked at me, and next thing, she lay down. Then the other mare and foal both lay down. And we were all sitting in this field. And it was just such a beautiful feeling. And again, this is unconditional love. This is something wonderful. And this is what I mean by, if we're willing to look, there are amazing, amazing representations of love all around us, always, if we're willing to look and see it. And it was such a magical moment for me, for these animals who are prey animals. Their instinct is to flee from us. Like, we're the biggest, baddest predator on the planet. Yet these animals trusted me enough to not only let me interact with their young, their newborns, but to lay down themselves and trust me to keep watch over them all. And it was such a beautiful, beautiful moment for me. And, suddenly to hear they're going, because, I've been enjoying these magical moments. Like, to have the little foals come over and let me play with them and scratch them and interact with them. And there's such different little personalities. And, the owner was speaking to me. I knew it was special, but I didn't realize how special. They've never had them, foals so tame. And it's not like I was with them all day, every day. So I would just pop across for 5 minutes. But it's like I've made a difference with them. They were my friends. They really mattered to me. And to have them go indefinitely, I don't know, it'll be a few weeks, it could be a couple of months. I don't know how long this is going to take. And I did get a little bit caught up in they're gone. And I was very emotional, and I went for a walk. And I had been speaking to a friend, but they didn't kind of get it. They went, "Oh, well, Sherlock, is there not other horses around?" And it's not quite the same when you have a particular connection. It's like with people. It's like when you have, best friends or lovers. You don't have that kind of connection with every person. And same thing, I don't have that kind of connection with every horse. So again, people didn't really understand, and I kind of felt very isolated in my emotional hurricane that was starting to build around this energy. And I know I've learned to move. Movement is very good for helping energy to flow. So I decided to go for a walk. And again, the tears kept coming, like the melon in the throat, the tears are flowing, and it's like, look, they'll be back. They will come back, all is well, and it's like all I could think of is how much I'm going to miss them. And how with them gone, I'm back to being very alone in a new area, not knowing anybody. And as I was walking down one of the lanes, sometimes some of the cattle will come across and they might stop and venture over to the fence. But on Sunday, something really unusual happened. And I knew in that moment it was spirit. There's a herd of maybe 40 odd young cows in it. And as I was walking along, and it's a long little road, a couple of them looked up and they started coming towards me. And I've gotten into the habit again, like that new area, I don't know people. So if an animal actually stops what they're doing and comes to me to acknowledge me, I will stop and I will acknowledge them in return. And I did this on Sunday. And next, before I knew it, the entire herd came from, and it's a big field. Before I knew it, the entire herd, all of them, had come along the fence. And I just knew, I could feel it in spirit. They were telling me, you're not alone. You're never alone. And although sometimes, and again, we're going time back into the universal laws, the laws of rhythm and cycles. So this would tie in with the seasons, the cycles of the moon. And again, I know there's a big moon, full moon eclipse coming up, maybe tomorrow night. And again, the moon plays a huge part. Again, we're talking about emotions. Works with the tides. It's very powerful and has an effect on us. And again, as all the cattle, that entire herd came over, it was like I could see and feel spirit surrounding me. And I heard Archangel Michael tell me, we are all with you. You are fully supported. Just trust, surrender, and allow the cycles. There is ebb and flow. And when it comes to relationships, we have that. Oh, hi, Hannah. Welcome. Lovely to see you, honey. When it comes to relationships, we have that tendency. There's always that honeymoon phase. And I did speak about this before. And I know Patrick on Rio Taruk channel, he picked up on this as well. There is that tendency, we have that honeymoon phase. And when we meet somebody wonderful, and it's like we actually push things aside that we should be sorting out of the way because we really want to make time to spend with this new person because everything's wonderful. But eventually it gets to a point where things have to be done. All that piles up and you have to address it, So we do. But then inevitably there's usually one or other partner then starts to, go, oh, do you not love me anymore? Like he's pulling back or she's pulling away when they're actually not. And again, it ties into this law of rhythm, which again will be cycles and tides. The sand on the beach when the tide starts to recede doesn't go, don't leave me, come back, because it trusts that is the ebb and flow. And when it's in the ebb phase of the tide going out, the sand or the rocks or the earth, that just surrenders and trusts that where there is ebb, there is always flow. And the tide will return again. And the same thing happens with our partners and lovers, and our friends, or, in any relationship really. But see, the problem is we get caught in the ebb and then get into it triggers old wounds of abandonment or neediness. And suddenly it's like, and we start getting clingy and needy. And that can be very off-putting to another. And often that can actually damage our relationships. And again, this is down to becoming self-aware, to start taking responsibility and accountability for how we behave, to start seeing things, stop taking things so personally all the time. Life is life, and we each have our individual journeys. And a healthy relationship is two souls walking a path together in harmony with each other. It's not locked in together and right, two become one, and can't do anything that lights your soul up. You must do what I want to do, because that's what makes me happy. It doesn't really work like that. It's about loving each other unconditionally. And it's like, okay, you have hobbies that I'm not into. That's okay, because I have some you're not into. So, in the effort of balance and harmony, off you go doing the thing you love. I'll go off do the thing I love, and then we can come back together in the evening or the next day or whatever, and we can talk about what a wonderful time we had doing the things that we love, the things that light us up. But instead, we often get into these controlling relationships. No, we're partners now. No, 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 you have to come and do what I want this weekend. It's not really healthy. And again, I'm not here to tell anybody what they must or mustn't do. I'm just asking that you take some time to do some self-reflection and start looking at how can you help you in your life today. Um. So yeah, and again, making me share the story with the cows the other day. It's like spirit is constantly talking to us. If we are willing to be open-minded enough to notice, it's not every day a whole herd of cattle will come across from a massive field and all come to just stand and be present with you. And again, my guides came in and told me, we're with you. You are not alone. You will get through this. And then, another synchronistic thing happens when he got in touch, which reminded me of something wonderful, which then triggered the whole thing of remember where you focus. Remember the law of attraction. If I'm focused on the pain and the grief and the loss of my little foal and mare friends, well, that's the frequency I'm tuning into, which means that's what I'm going to attract. And I don't want to attract more loss, more grief, more pain. So instead, I got to flip it and go, well, do you know what? I took a few lovely videos. I have some wonderful memories of those beautiful animals and the special moments that we shared. I can look at them anytime I need a nice uplifting boost, and I can trust and have faith that they will be back soon and I can continue to get to know them again. And it was quite a powerful moment. And again, we all have the power to do this. And I mean, I was heartbroken at the weekend. And again, triggers. It wasn't just them. This was old grief from, losing grandparents and other family members and, losing a baby and, it was everything. It triggered all of that emotion to come bubbling to the surface to be released. And this is what I mean by sometimes when we get triggered, it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to go within and heal, to surrender. Again, go with the flow, because this is where your strength is. This is where your power lies. It's surrender to the emotions. And again, water is the feminine energy. Water and earth are the feminine frequencies, whereas fire and air are the masculine. And again, think about it. You're breathing in the air energy. You're breathing in your divine energy. It's the doing. You do this. You consciously do this. This is engaging your yang energy. This isn't sitting doing nothing. This is engaging. This is bringing the balance between the masculine and feminine. This really does help. It really does work. Now, the final card, Ascended Masters. Create open communication. And again, what was I talking about earlier on about authenticity? Open and honest communication. Because unless we start communicating clearly, unless we start expressing, what we actually need, what we actually desire, what our expectations are, how are potential partners to know? We have to be authentically ourselves. We have to have authentic compatibility. And I don't know where I came across it. There was somebody put something beautifully, in the color spectrum. And again, colors are also vibrations. But, if, say, you're a violet person, but, you have to go to work and wear red because, everybody at work is red energy. So if you start embodying that, instead of being your violet person in a red environment, you try to morph into being like everybody else around you, all the reds. And then you start dating red people. But the red and the violet, you're not a match because you're only pretending to be red when you're actually violet. I remember thinking that was a beautiful analogy. And again, I'm not just picking on those colours. It could be red and yellow or green and blue, you know. But the point is, if you're trying to be who you are not, if you are trying to be somebody else, if you're trying to be like other people, if you're comparing yourself with other people, it's impossible for you to attract the right person for you, the right partner. It's only when you drop all the layers of other people's expectations, it's only when you become your true, authentic self can you truly attract your compatible partner. Otherwise, and again, I know it's hard to see, but when it's this way, they're pushing against each other, they're repelling. If I bring it up, it starts to click. But again, they're repelling, and I hope you can see this. Dropped it. Sorry, when I have it turned over, it's repelling, but let go, it flips. You only attract the matching frequency. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So please be your authentic self. Be true to yourself. So, the Ascended Masters create open communication with others and listen objectively. Listening is very important too. Throughout time, human beings have looked to spiritual teachers, gurus, and philosophers for guidance and wisdom in their everyday lives. Regardless of religious background or affiliation, people gravitate towards those who have achieved levels of ascension on the physical plane. Philosophers, ascended masters, spiritual gurus, and leaders enable those seeking wisdom or higher states of well being and consciousness to connect to something bigger than themselves in this dimensional experience. While there are many ascended masters across the realm of ascension, they are still on differing levels of ascension. These inner planes assist those seeking wisdom, reconnecting to specific energies such as the light rays. When working with these frequencies, sorry, I just love the light rays and the 7 color rays. And I was just talking about the colors and the frequencies. But anyway, sorry. When working with these frequencies or energies, be sure to always invoke or request the aspects that exist within 100% pure light frequencies. Ascended masters would still exist with a dual polarity and still have specific purposes and functions relating to the earthly realm. Right now, you are required to connect to higher wisdom previously shared with a collective purpose. Daily rituals and routine are essential to establish stability through decision-making processes. Open your mind and vision to signs and symbols from the Ascended Master realm. Many masters are associated with animals and symbols. Pay attention to art and imagery that you may feel emotionally or strongly connected to now, as you are being divinely guided. Be consciously aware that the masters are working behind the scenes in your life to achieve a greater outcome. Karmic planning and your unique energetic blueprint require certain learning experiences and events for you to grow and expand your soul and spirit into a new state of awareness. The affirmation that comes with this: I am a clear channel of divine knowledge. I share this wisdom with compassion and confidence. Sorry, there's a personal message in that for me also. Um, and again, like we were just talking, you know, the ascended masters, Jesus is an ascended master, Buddha is an ascended master, you know, all of these great spiritual teachers, you know, spirit is constantly with us, all around us. And they use animals like they did with me and the cattle on Sunday. They use music. Sometimes the lyrics of a song will just pop at you, or a song will just keep playing in your head. Pay attention to it. Google the lyrics. There's often a message in it for you. Sometimes it's pictures, paintings, you know, anything that grabs your attention. Pay attention because you're always, always been divinely guided. Spirit is always helping us. Love is all around us. And if we want true connection, if we want true, authentic friendships, partnerships, relationships, we need to start becoming more true and authentic in ourselves. Um, Now, I know we've run on an awful long time, but they're telling me to pull a couple of the romance angel cards. So we'll just finish up. We'll close it off with this. And again, look at, I'm not here to say I've mastered all of this. I haven't. I still have rough times. You know, the last month in particular has been a serious emotional roller coaster. I've had a few emotional hurricanes. But you know what? I'm getting much quicker. Some of the experiences I've experienced in the last few weeks would have floored me. They would have left me prone on the couch, crying, listless for months, even years, just unable to cope, unable to function. You know, why me? Why does everything go wrong? But I'm not that person anymore. And yeah, I still get overwhelmed at times, but I'm getting much quicker at pulling myself out. And again, I'm learning to pay attention. I'm learning to notice the signs. And you know, that moment when all of those cows all decided to just come across the field to me and line up along the fence. And they even, when I continued to walk, eventually when I understood the message and I thanked them and I continued on my walk, they even followed me down the field. Like I said, it was a big field until I'd gotten right past them. But it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. True love. This is the romance of a lifetime. You know, true love. What is true love? True love is unconditional love and it is all around us. True love is the divine essence. It is the God within. It is the I am presence. It is your soul energy. That is true love. When you start connecting with yourself, when you start truly seeing the truth of your own divinity and the power within you, things just get better and better. They really do. Sorry, they're telling me to look at the bottom of the deck again. Make the effort. Great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take. And again, make the effort. You are worth it. Make the effort to do your mirror work. Make the effort to heal yourself. Make the effort to breathe consciously. Let go of the past. Hold on to the happy, good feeling memories. Use them as fuel to recharge you, to lift you back up to the higher frequencies. Because when you're in the higher frequencies, when you're in the feel good, loving energies, your guidance comes in with such clarity and such accuracy. It's only when we get weighed down in the heavier frequencies that things just don't, we get confused. We don't really understand. It's harder to receive because we're weighed down with all the ick. But if we just consciously breathe and release all that heavy, icky feeling stuff, I just have to laugh. The card, when we shuffled at the start, true love has just come out again. Again, true love, it's self-love. And again, when you learn to love yourself, you recognize that everyone is a reflection of yourself. You learn to recognize that there is divinity in every single person and you can love everybody unconditionally. It doesn't mean you have to allow them in. Of course, you have boundaries, but we have to stop hating. We have to stop blaming people for how we feel. We have to start doing the work ourselves. We have to find the true love within. And when we do, when we connect, we radiate it out and it draws more to us. And it is worth waiting for. Divine timing is at work in your love life. And it is worth waiting for. Everything you desire is coming to you. But you must get yourself into alignment. You must find your own balance. And again, look, it's like this is you. You are this angelic being, but you're kind of wrapped up. You're still kind of unsure. You're doubtful. You're fearful. But your guardian angel is always with you. Spirit is there with you. You are not alone. And everything you desire is coming. You just need to have that little bit of patience. Divine timing is at work in your love life. But if you do the work, and again, they're all dressed in white. White. White light. It's the combination of the rainbow colours, the 7 rays. And again, that ties in then with the ascended masters again. Do your work. Trust that you are supported. Learn to love yourself. Accept the love within. Accept the love that's all around you. Notice what's there for you. And keep an open mind. Your soulmate may differ from your usual type and expectations. And again, it's back to what we spoke about at the start of this video. Sometimes we have these preconceived notions because society or our parents or our friends have told us, oh, you want to get a partner who's this, that, and the other. It's looking for all the wrong reasons. And look at, if you desire that affluent life, there's no reason you can't have that also. But again, it's connection, it's compatibility. And in order to draw a partner who's going to love you, respect you, you have to love yourself. You have to respect yourself. You have to learn, tune in, and discover Who are you? Who are you? What lights you up? What makes you happy? What makes your heart sing? Don't be trying to compete, keeping up with the Joneses, copy the neighbours, the friends, the family, do what you think, what your parents tell you, your friends tell you, your in laws tell you. What do you want with your life? What do you feel? What lights you up? What makes you happy? And start doing those things. Start honouring yourself, because until you love yourself, honour yourself, and respect yourself, you cannot expect to receive that from anyone else, because again, we're back to law of attraction. Okay? You attract whatever frequency you are emitting. And I know, look, we don't always want to own that. We don't always want to take accountability. And trust me, I've sat here and sworn at them and called them all sorts of names because I don't like what I'm being told or what I'm being shown. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the truth of it resonates within every cell and fibre of my being. And you know what? They don't mind if we snarl, because we're loved unconditionally. Spirit doesn't judge us. The ascended masters don't judge us. The angels don't judge us. God doesn't judge us. Mankind is the only one that judges us. And the true judge, it's ourselves. Because do you know what? People can judge you. People can say things about you, or, make assumptions about you. People can form judgments. But those judgments have no power over you whatsoever, unless there's a part of you that agrees with them. Unless there are elements within your own vibration of unworthiness, of lack of love, of loneliness. Unless you actually agree with the judgment, nobody's judgment has power over you. Because if you're happy and if you're just living your natural life, being your authentic self, living your own truth, people can judge and it just washes over you because you're happy. You only get bothered and triggered by other people's judgments because there's a part of that frequency still alive within you. And a big lesson for me, find the courage to come ahead and do this video. I've been resisting this for weeks because I know this is going to trigger people. But at the end of the day, I'm not responsible for how other people receive the messages. I'm delivering these messages for those that are ready to hear them. They will benefit. I know there are people benefiting already because you contacted me. And thank you. I really appreciate that acknowledgement, because it helps give me courage to continue this journey. It encourages me to keep going. Every time somebody makes me aware that whatever message has come through has made a difference to them and for them. But look, it still challenges me. I've had a lifetime of insecurity. I've had a lifetime of feeling worthless, unworthy, unloved, unwanted. Like, I've had a lifetime of living in all the ick, but I don't live there anymore. Still get little flickers and flashes, and again, the fear of judgment for doing this talk. But you know what? Not my monkey, not my circus. Because I know for some, this is helping. And for those not ready to hear this yet, that's okay. These messages will be here for when you are. And if it's not the messages that come through me, you'll get the same message delivered through another person. Because that's how spirit works. You are never alone. You are always supported infinitely. Divine has your back. You are a divine light being, and don't ever forget it. But it's vital that you learn to connect with yourself first. Bring your masculine and feminine energies together. Find your own balance. And I promise you, when you do, you start attracting more and more quality connections. But you do need to, it is worth waiting for. You do need to have patience. You do need to understand that within the laws of the universe, divine timing is at play. But everything you desire is always coming to you. But you must keep yourself in alignment. If you keep slipping down into the, they're not here, I'm all on my own, then you're going back into attracting exactly what you're emitting. So love yourself, respect yourself, nurture yourself, be good to yourself. Turn on music just for you and dance to it purely because it feels good to do so. Or get out paper and pens and draw and colour because it feels good to do so. It really doesn't matter what you do, as long as it's something that lights you up. We're all different, we're all individual. What lights me up may not light you up. And it doesn't need to, it's not supposed to. But do what makes you happy. Ask yourself, what makes your heart sing? And if you don't know, well, then start trying new things until you discover something that does light you up, that does give you that, you know, that. Do you remember that childlike feeling when, something was just so good and you're so excited, and tune back into that. And if that's what it takes, just tap into your memories. Because you know what? Somewhere, and like thankfully, all my traumatic memories are starting to clear. Well, I don't even want. There's loads I still don't remember. I don't need to remember, you know. But as I've been working through all the old traumas, I'm starting to have little flashes of little happy memories that I had as a little girl. Little moments of wonder where I was like, oh, wow. Because do you know what? They're the magical moments. And we need to tune back in to those little boys and girls within. Because do you know what? Until the grown ups projected all the fears and anxiety and worries, and again, not on purpose, they're not bad, evil people, they didn't know any better. But you see, we've learned all of these bad habits and behaviours that don't serve us. We've learned to ignore our gut feelings. We've learned not to trust the soul within. And it's vital that we start feeling again, because our feelings really are our superpower. I've mentioned this in another video. Tune in to how you feel. And yes, I know it can be overwhelming at times, but reach out to people you trust and call in all of your angels and guides and ancestors, because do you know what? You have an army of light beings supporting you always. And don't be afraid to cry. Don't be resisting it. Soften. Allow the divine feminine energy to flow. Allow that emotion to flow through you. Let it overwhelm you. You've already survived. You survived everything. Every challenge life has thrown at you so far, you have survived. You've got this. Just remember to breathe. Breathe in your divine life force and exhale and breathe out all the pain, all the frustration, all the anger, all the hurt, all the shame, all the blame, all the guilt, all those heavier, ickier frequencies that no longer serve you. You don't have to carry them around. It's all in the past. All you have is right here, right now. And how do you want to be right now? Do you want to be happy? Or do you want to be trapped and weighted down in the past? Because you can free yourself. You just have to honor yourself. Promise yourself that you will do it. Practice. Just practice. Don't criticize yourself when you catch yourself and realize you've fallen into bad old patterns again that don't serve you. Just go, you see it now. And practice your breathing. Learn to let it go. Don't feed the negativity. Don't feed the drama. See it. Feel it. Recognize it. Acknowledge it. Recognize that it doesn't feel good and it's not where you want to be. And then choose to release it. Breathe through it. This is not about ignoring your feelings or your emotions. This is about facing them, feeling them, and choosing to free yourself from them. And just tune in and remember good feeling moments in your life. Use those good memories, use those good feeling moments to fuel yourself back up the vibrational ladder. And look, if you have any questions or there's any particular topics you would like me to discuss, please feel free to leave comments down below. I have a feeling they've been at me. There's a meditation coming. I'll probably do that for the full moon. They've been asking me. Well, I've been doing meditations for friends over the phone and that. So I think I have to bring it to the collective, not just individuals. Um, so I'll be doing that, and look at maybe you can use them as tools to help yourself in the releasing and letting go process. You do have the power to free yourself of the past, to free yourself of all the pain and trauma you've experienced. How do I know this? Because I've done it. I'm still doing it. And free myself quicker. Yeah, stuff still happens. I still get hurt. But I'm pulling out of it faster and faster every time. And I'm happy. Well, no, that's a lie. I'm not happy. But I'm willing to share my stories, share my experience in the hope that it helps you on your own journey of freeing yourself and reaching for the higher vibrations and living the wonderful, happy life that you actually came here to live, because it is possible. But the primary relationship needs to be with you. Love yourself, and then see the love come flowing. It's always around you. Connect with you. Love is all around you. Look for it. Start looking for things to appreciate in every day. Start looking for moments in love, out and about, acts of kindness. That's love. Notice things that other people are doing or animals are doing. Notice every loving moment. Because the more you notice them and appreciate them, again, law of attraction, you emit that frequency, and thereby you call that frequency to you. That, my friend, is how you set yourself free. Yeah, I know it's been a long time, very long time actually, one of my longest videos. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening. I really hope this has been helpful too. And I'll see you all again soon. Take care.